Welcome to Armchair Expat, the podcast meant to get you out of your lazy boy and into your new life abroad. I'm Shannon Acton, founder of Bargain Homes Abroad, and I'm riding shotgun as we chase the dream of life beyond borders. Each episode, we'll hear stories from people who've left their comfort zone to explore the world. They'll share their highs, their lows, and their in-betweens, all meant to lovingly light a fire under your bum, so you can stop dreaming about it and start living it. So if you're stuck in your comfy recliner, scrolling through dreamy destinations, wondering what if, it's time to swap that raggedy old armchair for a one-way ticket. Let's freaking go, people. Welcome back to the Armchair Expat. Today's episode is a little different, so bear with me. We begin with a short grounding meditation. It's led by our guest, Nicolle Merrilyne. And it's really meant to help us slow down, drop in, and tune into our inner knowing. So if you're short on time or prefer to skip straight to the conversation, go ahead and do that. It's 3 or 4 minutes in is where we get into the meat of the conversation. Nicolle, our guest today, is a certified intuitive energy healer. She's a medium and she's a meditation teacher whose work is rooted in helping women connect with their inner voice and step fully into the lives they're meant to lead. She's on a mission to make spirituality accessible to everyone, because when we feel safe to dream, we can finally start building the lives we've always imagined. Nicolle recently followed one of her own lifelong dreams, moving to Spain. And in this episode, we talk about all of it: the power of intuition, what it takes to truly listen, and how moving abroad can become the ultimate portal to personal transformation. This one is heartfelt, this one is expansive, and this one is full of soul. So let's get into it. Hello, Nicolle. Welcome to the Armchair Expat podcast. I'm so excited to have you here.
I'm so excited to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, we're going to start this episode a little bit different than we've done in the past. Nicolle's going to lead us in a little kind of grounding exercise to set the mood and open up everything for this episode. And then you'll find out why in just a moment. So I'm going to turn it over to you.
Perfect. All right, everyone, go ahead and join me by just closing your eyes. And we're just going to take a moment to open up this episode by grounding together. So as you close your eyes, just finding your breath, finding your body, just giving yourself a moment to tune in. Nothing to do or change or control, just being here with your breath. Good. Let's take a deep breath in all together, breathing into the belly. And exhale softly out through the mouth. One more time, deep breath into the belly. And softly exhale out the mouth. Good. Now I'm going to walk you through just a short grounding. This is one of my favorite tools. I teach this to all of my students. So just follow my voice. Go ahead and bring your awareness down to the base of your body, the base of your spine. And I want you to see just a small ball of energy right there. Maybe notice its color, its shape, its size. You can visualize it, you can feel it, or just know that it's there. And I just want you to let this ball start to grow, that ball of energy, whatever color it is, just let it start to grow, let it start to get bigger and wider until it is the width of your hips. And then just drop it down, let it drop down, an extension of your spine, this energetic cord, let it drop all the way down, out from your body, through the chair, the cushion, whatever you're sitting on. Let it go down into the earth. Just like a root from the tree, let it grow all the way down through every layer and texture of the planet. growing stronger and stronger as it makes its way down until it reaches the core of the planet. As it does, I want you to feel it or see it rooting in there just like a tree, creating this beautiful system of roots, connecting you, grounding you here with the planet. And just experience that for a moment. Feel what it feels like to be grounded, to connect with the earth. And if you'd like, you can start breathing down through that cord, sending your breath out from the body down through that grounding cord, and just using it as a tool to release. Good, we'll take 3 deep breaths here all together. Breathing in. And release any tension out through the grounding cord. Just let it go. 2 more, breathing in. This time, let go of any stress or anxiety. Just send it out through the grounding cord. Let it recycle, then return back to the earth. Last one, breathing in. And this time, I want you to release anything that's been weighing heavy on you. Whatever it is, send it out. Use your breath. Breathe it out through the grounding cord. Letting it go. Good. You can return to your natural breath now. And slowly coming back to the present moment. Maybe beginning to rub your palms together, slowly wiggling the fingers and the toes. But just know this grounding cord will stay with you for the rest of your day, your evening. And know that you can always use it to return to breathe out anything that doesn't feel good in the body, and to remind you just how connected to Earth you are. Whenever you're ready, you can open your eyes, coming back.
Thank you. I didn't realize how much I needed that. But why don't you tell us all kind of a little bit of your background, where you're from, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah. So I'm originally from California, born and raised in Southern California, and I lived there pretty much all of my life. I grew up in like the Palm Springs area, went to school in Orange County, lived in LA, and really just kind of was in this Southern California dream bubble for a little while. And my husband and I, Jordan, we are both very adventurous people, and we got to this point where we were living in LA, and it was kind of in the middle of the pandemic. I had just really come back into this remembrance of my intuitive gifts. I had started to just kind of play with intuition and sessions, and my business was slowly building very organically. I didn't really know it at the time, but I was building a business. And we got to this place where we were both just kind of unhappy with where we were at. And the energy of LA at the time was very intense, very thick. And we were like, we both work from home right now. We're both just kind of in this place where we don't need to be here. We don't need to be in LA. Let's go. Let's go somewhere. And we trusted our intuition and kind of like started to explore outside of LA. And we were like, oh, what if we go to the beach? What if we go up north a little bit? And lo and behold, we moved to Seattle. So we kind of made a big jump. Yeah, and just intuitively moved to Seattle in 2020. And my husband Jordan had never been there before. And we went there, signed a lease, and called it home. And I share that because that was kind of the first leap that we took, which would then really give us the courage to take a bigger leap this year of moving overseas. But it was in that period of time where I really started to do a lot of intuitive work, intuitive healing. I kind of fell into this work by accident. It was actually a dare. I had a friend of mine who I was in an intuitive healing certification. I was always very curious. I was a very curious kid, very intuitive kid. And I went through a lot kind of in my teen years, early 20s, where I kind of lost myself for a period of time. I was in a very abusive relationship. I was struggling with my health and I was just lost. I was helping so many other people around me build their businesses or do their social media or, do everything for everyone else. But I wasn't fueling my own creative fire. And I got to this place where within my health, and this was right before we moved to Seattle, I was just really struggling. And so I was trying to seek other ways that I could help myself, my body, and just to feel better. And I kind of fell into meditation. I fell into intuitive healing work, and it completely changed my life. So, kind of fast forward through that, I ended up taking an intuitive healing certification just for fun. It was something that they offered at the work where I was working at the time, which was a meditation studio. And I just started practicing on friends and family. And I had a friend who I did a session for, and she was like, "You're really good at this. You need to do something with this." And I was like, "No, that this is just fun. I'm just doing this for play." And she dared me to post about it online. I had a small food page at the time where I was sharing healthy food recipes. And it was just, a little passion project, kind of following my journey with food and health and healing my body. And I posted just donation based readings. She dared me. I'm a Capricorn. I don't know if you're into astrology,
Yeah, I'm
but
a Capricorn rising.
okay, so you get it. If someone dares us to do something, we're like, okay, we're going to do it. So I posted on my food page about donation based readings, doing intuitive work. And I've been booked ever since posting that. So that was kind of like the opening of my business, which turned into, building this whole kind of spiritual world. And that really blossomed when we moved to Seattle. And we told everyone we would move for a year, and we were there for 4. And it was such an opening for, building my business, learning about living in a new place and exploring a new part of the country. And it kind of really opened our eyes to what else is possible when it comes to where we want to live, what we want to do, how we want to live our lives.
And so when was kind of that seed planted for you're in Spain now? What was that
Yeah.
your first choice? Like how did that kind of blossom?
Yeah. So we to take it back a little bit, so the dream of living overseas, my husband and I both had it separately. So growing up, I was obsessed with Italy. Like I
Mm.
would dream about Italy as a little girl, as one does. And I took Italian in high school. Like I had this dream of like marrying an Italian man and going to Italy and just living my best life, which is funny because Jordan's an Italian citizen. So it kind of worked out, kind of manifested that in my own way. And so when I was young, we took our first trip to Italy as a family right after I graduated high school. And I remember that trip just opened my eyes, the culture, the energy. I mean, I believe in past lives. So like I know that there's been a lot of past life energy for me here. I just felt at home. And ever since then, I told myself, I'm going to live here at some point in my life. And it didn't really work out for me in college to do the foreign exchange student. It didn't work with my degree, and it didn't work. And I always remembered being really bummed about that because I was like, that was my opportunity. That was my chance. And so I always told myself, I'm going to make this happen. Like I need to do this at some point in my life. And lucky for me, Jordan also had the same dream. So we met in college, and after college, we didn't date in college. We were just good friends. After college, he went on a solo backpacking trip to Europe, and he found himself there, and he spent 3 months. And so he also has always dreamed of going back, and he has his Italian citizenship. So we always said once we got together, we're going to do this at some point. It's a dream of ours. We don't know how or when or what that will look like, but it was always kind of in the back of our heads. So once we moved to Seattle, it kind of opened up the door to we could go anywhere, like we're now away from our families, we're away from our friends, but we're still connected. And it kind of opened up just our understanding that it's possible to move and to go and to explore. And we had actually talked about like 6 years ago about going and moving abroad. And it just wasn't the right timing. It wasn't just, it wasn't right quite yet. So it was always there. That like seed was always planted. And when we were in Seattle, about, I would say, a year ago, we started exploring wanting to move. And at first, we were just talking about moving around the states. Like, oh, maybe we'll live in Austin. We'll go here to New York for a little while. We'll kind of like bop around the states. I think because we were scared to actually move overseas, even though that was a dream. But anytime we tried looking and exploring, going around the states, it didn't work. Something happened. We couldn't find the place. It just wasn't working out. And both of us being pretty intuitive people, we're like, if this is meant to be, it's going to be easy. Like our move to Seattle happened in like 2 months. We made the decision and then we just went. And so it wasn't easy. And we're like, all right, this isn't easy. We'll just kind of keep moving, keep kind of figuring out what it is, what we want to do. And I remember this was in August of last year. I looked at Jordan. We were like figuring out what we wanted to do. It was either settle down in Seattle or make a move. And I was like, what if we just went overseas? We want to. We just got married around like a year and a half ago. We're kind of in that in between of we don't want to have kids quite yet, but we know it's coming. And we're like, this is the time. Like, this is the time of our lives that we just need to go. And I was like, why don't we just do it? Like, we're talking about moving. Like, why don't we just do the thing we actually want to do instead of, kind of playing it safe in the States? And he was like, okay, let's do it. And it just happened. And I feel like that was such a sign because things just started happening really easily. We chose where we wanted to go. We started meeting people. He got connected with someone through LinkedIn who has a friend in Mallorca. Like, all these pieces just kind of started falling into place, which was such a sign for us that this is what we were meant to do. And at first, we were looking in Italy, we were looking in Portugal, looking in Spain, and we both love Mallorca, which is where we ended up moving to. And we just kept coming back to Mallorca. And then he ended up meeting someone who lived in Mallorca who also kind of told us about how magical the island is. And so we really feel like the universe brought us here, made it all happen, made it all work. And now we're here.
And it only took a few months to make that happen, right?
Yeah, we started talking about it in August. And then we kind of seriously started talking about so because what happened was our lease was up in Seattle and we had to tell them in August if we were going to sign or not because our lease was ending at the end of October and there was something in our lease where they needed those like 2 months. So we decided in August and then we ended up moving out of Seattle at the end of October. We sold all of our things. We had a 2-day garage sale. It was one of those things where looking back, I'm like, how did we do all of that? Like, we were just like, we're going to sell all our stuff. We're going to, have a 2-day garage sale. We've never done that before. We're just going to do it. And so we decided to sell all our things because we really wanted to feel free. We wanted to feel just open in this new chapter and not, have all this stuff or try to figure out like where to put things. And we have a small storage unit in Seattle still, but very small with just like a few things that we didn't want to get rid of. But it was so liberating selling everything. And then, yeah, November, we moved all the way down to California. We spent the holidays with our families just so that we could have some time there. And then in February, we moved to Spain.
And how has since this is interesting because I haven't really talked to someone yet who has only been, that when we're recording this is, it's
Yeah.
been a little over a month and a half. So how has that transition been? Are you still in the honeymoon phase or like what has changed in your life?
Oh my gosh, everything has changed. So yeah, it's been almost 2 months now, and I feel like it's been a lot. I feel like the change. I knew that things were going to change of course, you're moving to a new country. And so the logical part of me is like, of course, it's going to take some time to kind of find your way. But, and I was just writing about this actually in my newsletter, there were a lot of changes I didn't anticipate kind of taking as long as they did. But I will say, I feel like we've had a really smooth transition, but there have been like little things. And a big thing for us has just been the time zones. You know, we're still working with the US. So calls are later, figuring out how can we still, have rituals, have routines, take care of ourselves, our bodies, not stay up so late so we lose our morning. So that kind of stuff I feel like has been the biggest shift. But it really took us like the first 2 weeks to find our grocery stores, figure out our neighborhood, kind of like get our bearings and feel like we belong here. I think that was something that I also didn't expect at first is like, oh, like I'm in a new country, I don't speak the language quite yet fluently. And so feeling like you belong in a place where maybe there's so many different new things, it kind of took us a moment to feel confident and like, no, we do belong here, and we are opening up to the culture and learning things. We have a woman now who we always go to and buy all of our vegetables from at the market, and she teaches us new Spanish words every week. So like finding our people has been super helpful. But the time zones when it comes to work, I feel like that was definitely the biggest hurdle for us, I would say.
Mm-hmm. And how much would you say your intuition plays a part in kind of assimilating into the culture and into your new spot?
Oh, I mean, a lot. I think
Yeah.
that, well, for me, I really live my life intuitively. And so I fully believe that every day I'm guided by my intuition. And I feel like since taking the leap and coming here, my intuition has been stronger than ever. We're meeting people who I feel like are intuitively, my intuition is guiding me to these people, like the perfect person to, for example, this like I was thinking about, oh, I really want to do acupuncture. Like I kept hearing that in my meditations. And then like a friend of a friend randomly mentioned, her acupuncturist. I went to her. She was fantastic, changed my life. So like there's just something really special about being outside your comfort zone, because all you can really do is trust your intuition. The logical brain, like it wants to take over, but your intuition's like, no, you actually don't really know, where you are and you're finding your way. So you kind of have to default back to just trusting your intuition. And it's been fun too, especially in Spain, just walking around and letting our intuition guide us, not always looking at the map to find my way home, or like kind of letting myself get lost a little bit, because that's the magic of Europe is you can get lost and you'll find magical places and people and things and experiences. So I feel like my intuition has been very strong out here just because there's more space for it.
And now, a word from our sponsor. This episode of Armchair Expat is brought to you by International Living, your trusted guide to a better, more affordable life overseas since 1979. Now, I've been a longtime reader of International Living, long before this podcast began. They've helped me and countless others see what's truly possible when you think beyond borders. Whether it's retiring on the coast of Portugal or buying a bargain home in the mountains of Mexico, they've been showing folks how to do it smart, safely, and affordably for over 40 years. And right now, they're offering something special for our listeners. When you sign up for the free daily postcard e-letter, you'll get immediate access to International Living's 2025 Best Places to Retire report. This brand new guide is full of expert insights on the most welcoming and wallet-friendly destinations around the globe. Just go to www.intliving.com/best places to sign up. Again, that's www.intliving.com/best places. Big thanks to International Living for supporting this podcast and for helping all of us explore the possibilities of life well lived abroad. And now, back to our show. How would you define intuition? I know that you're an intuitive energy healer. You're also a psychic medium. You work with meditation. Like, can you, first of all, just kind of describe how you view intuition?
Intuition is this innate part of all of us. And I kind of describe it as your inner compass. So, the way that I look at it is we have like our analytical, logical mind, but then we have our intuition. Our intuition is part of our body, it's our heart, it's that gut feeling. Like, there's a lot of different layers to intuition. And I feel like really it's just coming back to that feeling. So, of course, to get more technical, we have different intuitive or psychic senses. You can hear things, see things, feel things, know things. But kind of as like a baseline of intuition, it's just that knowing that you have, that thing that's guiding you. We've all had those experiences in our lives where we felt something so deeply, and maybe the logical mind couldn't explain it. I couldn't explain why we felt called to move to Seattle, but we did it anyway. And there were so many gifts that came out of that. And even though we're only, 2 months in here, I know that there's so much here that my intuition was leading me towards that who knows what is going to open up and happen for me. So intuition, it's that inner part of you that is connected to something bigger. It's not the logical mind. It's not what society tells you is good or right or bad or wrong. It's that inner compass that we all have. And it looks and feels different for every single one of us. The way my intuition speaks to me might be vastly different than the way it speaks to you. And I think that's what's so cool about it is you get to learn, like, how does my intuition speak to me and how can I listen to it?
How would you tell someone who doesn't really trust their intuition or understand it? Like, what would be some tips that you have to kind of start that journey?
Mm. I mean, you can start as simply as just listening to yourself more. Because I think the thing when it comes to intuition is it's just a muscle. So we understand that if we go to the gym and do curls and work out your muscles, they're going to get stronger, they're going to get bigger. It is the same thing with intuition. So we all have moments, even if they're really small throughout the day, where you get an intuitive hit. Maybe it's with food. For example, if you're thinking about, oh my gosh, like I'm craving broccoli, like why am I craving broccoli? That's so random. That's your intuition, your body trying to tell you, hey, like you should eat some broccoli. Maybe there's an energetic component, maybe there's, a nutritious component. So it's those little nudges that you get throughout your day that might feel small and insignificant. And if you can start just listening and kind of playing with it, like I view playing with your intuition as a game. What would it be like if just for today, you listen to all those little pings that you got? Okay, I'm going to have broccoli. Okay, I'm going to go on a walk this different way even though I always go to the left. I'm going to try going to the right today. I don't know. I just have a feeling about it. So those little small moments throughout your day where you get nudges or thoughts or something drops in, just try listening to that. And I feel like people, when they think of intuition, they think of the big things like, oh, I got an intuitive hit to leave my job, to leave my relationship, to move across the country. And yes, of course, your intuition is probably guiding those big things, but it's hard to trust it if you don't trust it on those small, kind of more mundane moments throughout your day. So I always say that, just focus on the small things. Start listening to yourself and your body, and you'll be surprised at how much your intuition really speaks to you.
And how can meditation play into that, into kind of developing your trust in your intuition and developing your skills in general?
Yeah, meditation's like the gym. It's
Mm.
like going to the gym, for your intuition. It's a place for you to get quiet, to connect with yourself. It is an opportunity to listen. And there's so many misconceptions about meditation that you need to be quiet, your mind needs to be silent. Like your mind probably won't be silent. That's not really what you're trying to do. You're actually trying to listen. You're trying to notice, what are the cycling thoughts that are in my head? What are the looping thoughts that I'm getting stuck in? What are the intuitive downloads and things that start to come in as I get quiet, as I ground, as I open up? So I see meditation as kind of like the intuitive gym. It's a way for you to train your body, that muscle, and for it to get stronger. But it helps with so many things as well, not just intuition. I mean, meditation has completely changed my life, and I use it as a tool to ground myself, ground my energy. If I'm ever in a funk, I'm just like, okay, I need to meditate. I need to take 5 minutes even to just breathe, to calm myself down. It's really such an amazing way to regulate your nervous system and to just take care of yourself. We're so, as a society, obsessed with caring for our outside, our physical, going to the gym, getting our hair done, our makeup, like how does our body look? But there's so much internal that we don't focus on. And of course, eating well and taking care of, the nutrition and that part of things is really important. But there's also an energy component too. How's your nervous system? How's your mind? How's your heart? Are you even connected to your body? And I feel like meditation really brings you back into a place where you can start working on those things.
And so you started with energy healing. Can you kind of define what you mean by energy healing? What are the components of that, and how does that lead into kind of more intuitive development?
Yeah. So energy healing, the way that I do energy work is I call it intuitive energy healing. And essentially, energy is everything. We are energetic beings. There's energy everywhere, all around us. And the work that I do in my sessions is essentially tuning into the energies and frequencies of your body and exploring what's there. What feels stagnant, what feels stuck. Is there an emotion that has, created kind of this like block within your body? Is there stagnation within your womb space? Is there, trauma that's being held in the base of your spine? And so you have all these lower back problems. So really doing energy work is just a way to go into the body and kind of open things up, realign your energy, move things out. And what we did today to start this episode, that grounding cord, like that is an energetic tool. So what that does is creates this beautiful grounding cord that you can now release things out of. Because we as humans, we're sponges. Like we absorb things all day long. We absorb things from other people. We absorb energy, emotions. Like you can feel, when you walk into a room and someone's having an argument, you can feel it, you can feel when you walk into a room and everyone's really happy. It's a high vibe. And so when we absorb all those things, it's important for us to give ourselves, our body, a place to let them go. So that's what energy healing does. It helps you let things go. It helps you regulate your system, realign your energy. And so a tool like that grounding cord, everyone's now done it here. You can use that. I do that every single morning. And that is a simple way to ground your energy and just let things go. I will breathe out energy from my dreams. If I had a funky dream, I'm like, ooh, I'm going to breathe that out. If I feel anxiety in the chest, I will breathe that out. If I feel clouded in my head, I'll breathe it out through the grounding cord. So we all are able to do this work. And by doing something like that grounding cord, that's kind of like a little intro to doing energy healing.
What are some tips you have for to protect yourself energetically?
Oh, I have a lot of tips. Energy protection is one of my favorite things to talk about because going back to that sponge analogy, if we're absorbing things all the time, if you have energy protection, if you learn how to protect your energy, you won't absorb so much. I work with so many empaths who don't know what's theirs and what's not theirs. And they're so weighed down by the world because they're absorbing. They're not clearing and they're not protecting their energy. So it's heavy, of course. Like, think about how heavy that would feel. So, energy protection is just simply using your intention, using energy tools to protect your aura, protect your energy. And a few of the more simple ones that I like to teach people is just say shields up when you wake up in the morning. As simple as that, shields up. And you can maybe imagine a shield around you. You can use your words as that intention. And as you do that, we're not doing it out of fear. We're not like, oh my gosh, shields up. I'm afraid. I'm scared. It's empowering. Shields up. I'm protecting my peace. I'm protecting my energy. And so anything that comes at me, it's just going to bounce right off. I can still feel things. I can still be in this world, but I don't need to absorb it. I don't need to take it on. So Shields Up is a great one. It's really easy. You can put it on your alarm so you see it first thing in the morning if that's your vibe. You can, have it as a phone background or just like think Shields Up and put that protective shield around you. The next one that I love teaching people is just put yourself in a protective bubble of golden light, whatever like high vibrational color you love, white light, angelic light, and just surround yourself. We all live in our auras, which are these like really beautiful bubbles of energy. And if you put yourself in this bigger bubble of protective energy, you're good. But then the trick is you have to trust it. Yeah, you have to do these things out of trust and knowing that, okay, when I say shields up in the morning, I am protected and I feel that and I trust that. And of course, there's so many other things you can do. You can call on your angels and your guides. Archangel Michael is a great one for protection. You can wear crystals. I always have like a protective crystal around me, on me, in my purse. They're great for travel. So there are a lot of fun ways to protect your energy. I just think pick something that you're actually going to do because the best tools are the ones that you actually do.
And you mentioned spirit guides or
Yeah.
angels. Can you tell us a little bit about that and how we can begin to connect with our guides?
Yeah. Oh, I love spirit guides. So, spirit guides, I mean, we all have a spirit team. So, everyone here, no matter, what you believe in, what you don't, if you feel like you're spiritual or not, we all have these beautiful teams of spirits who are with us and supporting us. And a really easy way, if you are brand new to this and, you're like, I don't know about spirit guides, like, but I'm curious about it. The first thing I want to tell you is you are in control. There's a lot of misconceptions about spirit guides. There's a lot of fear around this topic. And I think a big thing to remember is we are the ones with the body. So we're in control of our experience. If you don't want to see a spirit, just say, hey, I don't want to see you. If you don't want to feel anything, hey, I don't want to feel anything. Like you can tell your spirit guides, like, hey, this is what I feel comfortable with. I would love to receive a sign from you. Show me a sunflower so I know you're with me. And that's a really easy way working with signs to just kind of get comfortable working with communicating, feeling the presence of whether it's a spirit guide or a spirit who has passed. So if you have a grandparent that you really want to connect with, ask them for a sign, ask them to show you something that you will know that they are with you. And from there, it's really just about building the relationship. I teach a lot about this in my different courses because spirit guides are just, they're your friend, but you do have to build that relationship because they know if you're ready or not to really open that up. They know if you're saying like, oh yeah, I'm ready, but deep down you're actually really afraid. So they will never cross those boundaries. Like they're very good with boundaries. They might be a little sassy sometimes, but they're good with boundaries. If you're like, hey, I don't want to see you, that absolutely freaks me out. But I want to receive angel numbers. Show me 707, something very specific, so I know you're with me. So I would say start playing with signs, asking for signs, numbers, colors, things that stand out to you, and then just be open. Spirit can speak to us in so many different ways. And I think this also kind of coincides with intuition. The more you
Mhm.
start acknowledging the signs you receive, the messages you receive, maybe you heard something in a random song and you're like, whoa, that felt like a message for me. Acknowledge it, say thank you. And as you do that, that also really boosts your intuition. Your intuition and your spirit guides, they work together too. So the more you start trusting your intuition, the more you will really open yourself up to the magic of spirit guides.
I know you have a meditation community and then kind of a bigger, broader membership. Can you talk a little bit about that and what people could expect as far as intuition development and kind of meeting community and like-minded people?
Yeah, absolutely. So I have a community called Rise, and it is, like you were saying, there's a meditation only tier where you just want to meditate with me. You want access to all of the meditations that I put out there, my library, new ones. And meditation for me it's such a powerful tool. And this is a highly accessible membership. It's $9.99 a month. And it's just a place where you can come and meditate and really receive. A lot of my meditations have energy healing within them. So they're not like your typical mindfulness meditation. There are so many different things that we explore in these meditations. And this is a great place to just practice and learn and connect with yourself. And then from there, I have another tier. It's also very accessible, but this is more of a like minded collective community. And, going through my own spiritual awakening, it was hard to talk to people about it. I felt luckily my family is also very open and curious and intuitive. So I never felt like I couldn't speak to my family, but I lost a lot of friends, and it was really hard for me to find like where I fit in. And once you start doing this work, you can't undo it. Like you can't unsee, what it
Mhm.
feels like to awaken yourself and your energy and all of this. And so I went through a period of time where I was really struggling with friendships and finding people. And all I wanted was a community where we could talk about astrology, we could talk about energy work, we could talk about spirit guides, and I could talk about, oh my gosh, I saw all of these signs on my walk home. Like, who am I going to tell, you know, who am I going to talk to about that? Luckily, my husband is like very on the same boat, so I could talk to him. But sometimes you just want to talk to your girls. And so I set out to create Rise to be that space. And it is such a beautiful community where, women share really openly and vulnerably about what they're going through, the signs they're seeing, the books they're reading, the podcasts they're listening to. And it's kind of become just this safe space for women to connect and build friendships, but also learn and develop, their skills, their intuition, and to grow spiritually. So there are new meditations every month. We have a weekly live class together. There's a monthly oracle reading, there's workshops, and there's so much on-demand content too. So I wanted it to be live, but also, you can go in, you can take challenges on your own. You can watch, a workshop on past lives, a workshop on astrology. And so there's just a lot of fun things in the platform. And I'm really excited because it's just continuing to grow. And every month I do a new theme, and we really kind of hone in on this theme, and I teach about the theme. So it's a fun place, and it's for everyone, whether you're really deep in your spiritual journey, whether you're just kind of dipping your toe in. It's not a scary space at all. It's very open, very welcoming, and really supportive for anyone who's on any sort of a spiritual healing journey.
You mentioned a little bit earlier on, having a past life connection to Italy, and then you just mentioned it
Mhm.
again. Have you
Yeah.
felt that connection or any kind of connection now that you're in Spain? Is there any kind of draw that you felt there?
Yeah, definitely to Mallorca specifically.
Mm.
So I love past lives. I do a lot of past life work for my clients, and I've dug into it for myself quite a bit. And being in Mallorca, there's something here, and it's very familiar. So for anyone listening, if you have ever felt drawn somewhere, or if you've gone to a place and it immediately felt like home, or you felt like you've been there before, you've probably had some sort of past life experience there. And it's really fun as someone who travels a lot to kind of see, where you feel drawn to, what feels like home, what feels like a good place, a not so good place. I've also seen this in clients too, where they've gone somewhere and it was really triggering and activating for them. And we went into it and we're like, whoa, you had a lot of pain here. And so whether it's a good thing or a not so good thing in that moment, like you get to heal from that and you get to learn from that. And even if you go somewhere where you're like, whoa, this place is a little intense for me, and then you get to explore that past life, it's so healing for yourself and your soul. So yeah, being here in Mallorca, I haven't like gone into exactly what past lives I've had here, but it just feels very familiar. It feels very easy. It feels like I don't know, moving to Seattle, it took us a little bit to meet friends and build community. Granted, it was during the pandemic, but we're just meeting people, and like people are coming in, and there's something really special about this island, and I definitely feel like I've spent time here before. Right now we're in Palma, so I don't necessarily feel like I was in Palma. I feel this more when I go to other parts of the island, a little more like nature forward. But I definitely feel like there have been some past life experiences for me here for sure. And also my husband. We both just had that feeling of like, oh, okay, there's something here for us. And that's how we felt, coming here when we would come here on vacation. And part of the reason why we wanted to move here is there was that draw. There was that, there's something there. There's something there. And why not follow that? Why not see what it is?
How do you decipher if it's, or is it even important to decipher whether it was a past life or, that's where your ancestry came from?
Yeah, I mean, it could also be both. Like you could have past lives in a place where your ancestors also were. So I see the soul as this like very layered, large map. And whether the map is from this current life and the connections from there, or it's also layered with past life experiences too, like there's a lot of this kind of correlation with that, at least from what I've seen. why do I feel drawn to these places? Is it a past life? Is it my ancestors? Is there just, an intuitive reason why I need to go there? Someone I'm going to meet, an experience I'm going to have. I mean, this is why this work is so fun and cool, because there's so many layers and things you can learn and discover and explore. And it's all about you. It's all about you and your personal journey and self-discovery. And I could geek out about this stuff all day. It's so fun.
Yeah, I know. Me too. Me too. You mentioned kind of the difference in energy between when you're in Seattle, and I was born and raised in Seattle, so I can say I understand that energy of outsiders having a hard time fitting in Seattle. I
Yeah,
know that's
yeah.
kind of it's a little closed off, and nothing against Seattle. I love it. It's my hometown,
I love
but
Seattle. I love Seattle.
but it does have that kind of tight knit community, and it's harder for people to kind of assimilate or kind of make
Yeah.
connections. And then going to Mallorca in Spain, you said it's very much been easy and flowing. How have you approached it different? Like how have you found community in the short time that you've been there?
Yeah, I do think that I there's a few factors. I feel like where we are in our lives is very different than where we were when we moved to Seattle. Of course, the world was in a different place too. And there was actually a moment, so about 2 years into living in Seattle, and I live my life fully trusting, divine timing. And the first 2 years of us in Seattle, it was kind of like me and my husband against the world, which was really fun. And we were doing a lot of stuff, outdoors. It again was like 2020 to 2022. So kind of like, that period of time. And we also built our businesses during that time. So I feel like we kind of needed that, just like, this is what we're doing. We called it like our incubator. But then we got to a place where we were like, okay, we want to like meet people. We want to, build community here. And there was this one moment where we were sitting in our car, and kind of long story short, there was a girl who one of my friends told me about. She was like, "Oh, you should go to like her vintage shop. They're having like a pop-up this weekend." And we were like, "Okay, let's go. We need to, put ourselves out here if we want to build community." And I remember sitting in the car before we went in, and we set an intention together. We're like, "Okay, our intention is to meet people. I don't know what this is. We don't even know what this is going to look like. We don't know who's going to be here. This could be an empty shop. Like, who knows?" But we sat there together in the car, and we were like, okay, like, this is our intention. We're going to be open. We are going to open our hearts, and we want to meet people. Like, we want to build community. And I kid you not, we went in there and we had such a great time. And I was shopping, and I turn around and Jordan's like talking to this guy. And we ended up becoming like really good friends with all these people from that day. And so it really came back to us setting the intention and opening up to community. And then we built a fantastic community. And as you probably know, like, once you're in and like the people and you find your people in Seattle, it's beautiful. Like, we love Seattle. And, if, whenever we go back to the States, whatever that looks like, we'll probably go to Seattle because we love it there so much. But it took us setting that intention. So coming here, our intention has always been, we really want to meet community right away. We're in a new country, we're in a new place. It's different than, being in a new place in the pandemic. Like, things are open and we want to meet people and we want to connect. So we really set that intention from day one, that we didn't want to just like hunker down and be in our houses. We wanted to be out and about. And I think having intention just with anything that you do, it changes things. We're looking at our weeks through the lens of, who are we connecting with? Like, what are we doing? How are we getting out of the house? Where are we going? Instead of just looking at the week through the lens of like, okay, we're working and we're spending time together. So I really feel like being intentional with like, what is the purpose of this chapter for you? Like, what's your intention behind it? And really sitting with that, and then planning, or not even planning, opening yourself up to allowing that intention to really come in. And it's been fantastic. I mean, 2 months here, and we've met so many wonderful people, and we're bumping into people. And I had like a client who used to live here, but she ended up moving right when I moved. I was so bummed. But her best friend, I like ran into her best friend, who I didn't know who she was, at a market the other weekend. And now we're going to hang out. And so there's something really cool that happens, I think, when you set an intention and you live through that intention.
Interesting. So let's talk a little bit about, the majority of this audience are kind of planting the seeds and have the desire to move abroad and maybe have not taken the leap yet. So, what would you recommend besides kind of setting that intention to get that ball rolling and get the momentum towards going from, stagnant and not making the move to actually making that dream come true?
Mm. Well, intention, of course, starting there and really checking in with yourself of like, am I ready for this? Am I just excited about a change? Am I like, what is really the purpose behind this leap that you want to make? And I fully believe that if something is meant to happen, it will happen. And maybe the timing might look different than you think. Maybe it might take a little longer than you think. Really just trusting the journey of getting yourself there because we've had this dream for, years and years, but the timing never worked out. And I think that if you force it when the timing isn't right and everything feels hard and you're running into all these roadblocks, like you got to trust that maybe it isn't the right time. But if you set that intention and then things just kind of start happening and you're like, oh, wow, like I found this place. Oh my gosh, like this is happening. Wow, I met this person. Trust those nudges from the universe. Trust those little things and just go with it. Like we did not plan for things to happen as quickly as they did. We just kind of let the universe guide us. And, we found different people. We found someone to help us with the transition. Like we started finding all these things and they came to us. So, really setting your intention and then maybe even sitting with this dream vision. Like, what would it feel like to go live in this new place? What would your life look like? What would you do from day to day? Like, how would that change, how you're living? And we did a lot of meditations around this once we did make the decision of like, what is this going to feel like? What is this going to open up for us? And that could be a really fun way to align your energy with this manifestation. I'm a big believer in energy work when it comes to manifestation, not just writing it down and saying it's going to happen, but like align yourself with it, be in that energy now so that when it happens, you're already there. You're already moving. It's already going for you. So, but I really think that having an intention and then just trusting the timing, like sending it out to the universe and saying like, hey, like I want to do this. I'm ready. I trust the timing. Show me the signs, make it easy for me. Let it be easy. Let it be effortless. Bring the right people in and put your faith in that. But then, take that inspired action. I think that blending in the faith and the kind of handing it over to the universe with also taking an inspired action and kind of staying connected to the dream is that magic equation.
Mm. If someone is coming up against some roadblocks in their journey to move abroad, how do they know if that's just a timing thing or if it's their fear talking?
That's a good question. I think that's where really sitting with yourself and being honest is a big thing. We had fear. There's such a difference between fear and nervousness versus this isn't actually the right timing. And I think a big way to sit with that is to just get quiet, do some journaling, sit with yourself in meditation and ask, like, am I just afraid? Because it is scary, like it's a big move, it's a big leap. And even though we knew it was right and we were so excited about it, we were still freaking out a little bit because we're like, oh, are we making the right decision? Like, is it crazy for us to just leave the States and go abroad? I mean, those are all very normal and natural questions. I think, too, if you can talk to someone who's done it, like I am very lucky that I have a lot of friends who have moved to different places in the world. So anytime I would feel some of that fear, I would call a friend or I would say, like, hey, like I would just talk to someone to normalize it in my brain, and then the fear would go away. And so that's how I knew, like, oh, this is just, some nerves. Because, of course, we're selling all our things, moving across the world. Like, you're going to feel nervous. But there's a difference. And I feel like you can feel the difference between the fear and the nerves versus this actually isn't the right timing. And I think if things are really just not working out, like if, our flights are getting canceled, if your house is falling through, like if all the things are falling apart, then I would just sit with and ask, what's actually going on? Am I being guided in a different direction? Because that could also be, the case too. I feel like when we were finding our house, we found this place that we're in now right away and we loved it. And we were like, there's no way it's going to be available. We found it in November and we're like, there's no way it'll be available in February. But we just kind of kept looking at places, and every place we would find would kind of fall through. And we kept coming back to this place. And so that to us was just a signal that, hey, this is a place. It ended up being available. It ended up working out, and it was perfect. So I think you just have to really trust yourself and get honest with yourself about how you're feeling and just ask, is this fear? Is this nervousness? Or am I not listening to something that's a little bit bigger, asking me to shift or change or pivot or wait or pause?
You're kind of sharing your journey on Instagram and your socials, and obviously, probably with your community. Do you have a lot of people coming to you saying, "Oh, this is my dream too. Help me, help me"?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people. And actually, so my husband and I, we both have our own, businesses and our own social media. And this was the end of November. We were living at my parents' house and we didn't have like this plan of sharing everything. Like, of course, we're going to share when we move, and we've been talking about it with our own individual communities. And there was this moment where we were like, we just want to like share more and talk more about it in a place that isn't like our separate communities but together. And we just like made this video. It was like this like 3-minute rant of us talking about like why we're deciding to move. And we made our own, joint TikTok page with it. And we're like, this just feels fun. Like, we're just going to post this. We didn't tell anyone. We didn't tell our communities. We didn't tell our families. We didn't tell anyone. We just like wanted a safe place to share, because we figured if we were feeling these different emotions, if we wanted to make this leap, I'm sure there's other people out there who, also feel that way. And that video ended up going viral, and so many people messaged us and commented on it like, oh my gosh, this is the sign I needed. Like, I've been thinking about this, or we've been wanting to do this, or we did this, and now we've been living in France or Spain or wherever for 20 years. And it was so cool to see how many people have already done this. So that gave us a lot of confidence, because we were like still, in the process of it and kind of freaking out a little bit in a good way. So we were like, wow, look at all these people who have done it. And then all these people who want to do this. And it really encouraged us to just keep going for it. And, there's always going to be hurdles and little things along the way. But we're so happy that we made the move, and it's still just the beginning. Like, we don't even know what else is going to come from it. But every day right before I got on, this call, my husband went on a walk and he's like, we live in Europe. We live in Spain. And it's like, it's so beautiful, and we're very aware that you begin to normalize things. And so we've been trying really hard to, every time we're on a walk, like look up and look around and really just embody and embrace the fact that we're here, because it's such a gift. And it's something that I'm sure we're going to look back on when we're older and be like, we did it. We didn't let ourselves just get bogged down by fear or what everyone around us was saying or what society tells you that you need to, have kids and do this and do that. And we're like, we did it and we're living it. So yeah, it's been really special to see how many other people are also wanting to do this right now too. It's incredible.
Yeah, it's very inspiring because, a lot of people have that fear and are scared to make the leap. So the more people that they can see can show them that, oh, this really is possible. Is there anything else that is on your heart that you want to share with people that might be exploring a move or exploring their intuition or how to use their intuition in the move? Is there anything you want to share with them?
Yeah, I think that, well, the first thing that's coming up is, nothing is permanent, and you can go, you can try, you can change your mind. And I just really think that if you have this deep calling, trust it. That's your intuition guiding you somewhere. And whether it's a big move, whether it's, to just go somewhere for a little bit to see how that feels, I just really believe that we're meant to live life. Like, life is called life. Like, we're supposed to live it. We're supposed to go and enjoy. And you can always go back. You can always change your mind. You can always try something for a little while and decide that it wasn't for you, but you'll never know that if you don't try it. And I think that going and taking a big leap of faith is one of the most powerful things you can do in your life. And it is like a intuition boot camp because you are forced to trust yourself, and all you can really count on is you, especially when you're in a new place. All you can really trust at first is yourself and where you're guided. And I think that if you've been getting the intuitive hit, why not? Why not?
Absolutely. Why not? Where can everyone find you online?
So you guys can find me at Nicolle Merrilyne on all platforms. And then if you want to follow my husband and I, our journey, we are at Nicolle and Jordan. I have 2 L's in my name, which I'm sure you'll see. So yeah, follow along. And we're just sharing. We're sharing the ups and the downs of moving and living in Spain, how we moved here, and also just traveling around. A big intention for us out here was we want to travel. We want to take advantage of being so close to so many incredible places. So we're starting to share kind of more of that as well. And it's just fun. We're having a good time, and we're just excited to hopefully inspire other people to take the leap too.
Definitely. You already are. So thank you for joining us. It's such a wonderful conversation. Thank you for sharing so openly. I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you so much for having me. This was so fun. And I really enjoyed this. I feel like starting with our grounding practice was really nice too.
Yes. And thank you for doing that. I appreciate it. It was a wonderful gift.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
And that's it for today's episode. Thanks for listening and spending some time with us. I hope you enjoyed the conversation. Make sure to follow the show and leave a review. It will really help others find us. And if you're dreaming about a life abroad or already living it, I'd love to hear from you. You can connect with me on Instagram at bargainhomesabroad or on our website, www.bargainhomesabroad.co. Until next time, keep exploring, keep dreaming, and I'll see you back in the armchair soon. Bye-bye.